October 1st, 2013, Southern California. The sun is shining over a quiet, upscale cafe. It's the kind of place where deals are made over artisanal coffee and organic salads. At a corner table, two men are deep in conversation. One is Dino Guglielmelli, a 52-year-old multimillionaire whose name is synonymous with the booming health and supplement industry. His face is on the bottles of vitamins sold in thousands of stores. He's the image of success. Opposite him sits Richard Furman, a trusted business associate. To any casual observer, they are discussing logistics, perhaps a new military contract, or a manufacturing shift. They look like titans of industry. But if you could lean in just a few inches closer, past the clinking of silverware and the hum of the espresso machine, your blood would run cold. Dino isn't talking about vitamins. He's talking about his wife, Monica Olsen, a world-class model, the mother of his two young daughters. And at this moment, she's on vacation in Mexico, unaware that her husband is currently negotiating the price of her life. "I want her gone," Dino says, his voice flat, devoid of emotion, before she gets back to the States. He doesn't just want her dead. He wants it to be brutal. He wants her head severed. He wants her body dumped in a ditch like trash. He offers $80,000 to make it happen. Dino thinks he's playing God. He thinks his wealth makes him untouchable. What he doesn't know is that the man across from him is wearing a wire. Every chilling word, every sadistic detail is being recorded by the FBI and local police who are sitting at the very next table, disguised as lunch patrons. The millionaire's empire is about to crumble, not because of a bad business deal, but because of a hatred so deep it outweighed the lives of the people he claimed to love. Welcome to True Gruesome Crime Stories. Today, we are peeling back the velvet curtain of the California elite to look at a case that proves money can't buy a conscience, but it can certainly buy a hitman, or so Dino Guglielmelli thought. This isn't just a story about a bad divorce. It is a psychological deep dive into the mind of a man who viewed his family as assets to be managed and his wife as a competitor to be liquidated. We're going to explore how a farm boy from Washington built a $50 million empire, only to set it all on fire because he couldn't handle his wife's success. You're going to hear the real details of the golden cage Monica Olsen lived in. We'll look at the bizarre midlife crisis that saw a 50-year-old CEO dye his hair jet black and try to become a rock star while plotting a murder. And most importantly, we'll reveal the twisted double-cross involving a business partner who was just as much of a con artist as the man he was set to betray. By the end of this, you'll understand why Monica Olsen still looks over her shoulder today, even though the man who wanted her dead has finished his sentence. Because in the world of high-stakes obsession, some debts are never truly paid. To understand the monster Dino became, we have to look at the man he started as. Born in 1961 in Washington State, Dino wasn't born into wealth. He was one of 7 children raised on a farm. His childhood was defined by manual labor and the grit required to keep a family afloat. This pull yourself up by your bootstraps mentality became the core of his identity. In the 80s, Dino headed to Los Angeles. Like many, he had dreams of being a musician, but reality hit hard. He ended up mopping floors at a waste processing plant. But Dino had a predatory kind of ambition. Within 3 years, he wasn't mopping floors, he was the office manager. 7 years later, he was the managing director. He saw a gap in the market for wellness, the idea that you could buy youth and health in a bottle. He founded his company, and it exploded. At its peak, he was generating $48 million in annual revenue. He had the mansion, the fleet of luxury cars, and the beautiful wife. But there was a pattern emerging early on. Dino didn't just want success, he wanted total control. When he divorced his first wife, Leah, he didn't just split the assets, he went for the jugular. He used allegations of substance abuse and instability to strip her of custody and her share of the business. He learned early on that the legal system could be a weapon if he knew how to wield it. In 2003, Dino met Monica Olsen. She was 22, a stunning Canadian model with a master's degree in finance, who spoke 7 languages. Dino was 42, a wealthy, established mogul. On paper, it was a fairy tale. He whisked her away to Italy, proposed with a diamond that could blind a passerby, and brought her back to a 7,000-square-foot mansion in Valencia, California. They had 2 beautiful daughters. For a while, Monica played the role of the trophy wife perfectly. She stayed home, raised the children, and supported Dino's ebro. But Monica wasn't just a face, she was a businesswoman. In 2008, with Dino's initial blessing, she launched Skin by Monica Olsen, an organic skincare line. It was an instant hit. High-end retailers like Barney's and Fred Segal started carrying her products. She was making her own money. She was becoming a brand. And that is when the fairy tale turned into a horror movie. As Monica's brand grew, Dino's insecurity spiked. He didn't want a partner, he wanted a possession. He began demanding she stop traveling for work. When she refused to abandon her career, Dino didn't just argue, he sabotaged. Using his position as the owner of the parent company, he unilaterally canceled her retail contracts. He fired her key staff. He literally dismantled her thriving business from the inside out just to make sure she was financially dependent on him again. This was psychological warfare. He was telling her, without me, you are nothing. I built you, and I can break you. When Monica realized the man she married was actively trying to destroy her livelihood, she knew she had to leave. But in Dino's world, no one leaves until he says they can. While his marriage was imploding, Dino underwent a bizarre transformation. At age 50, he decided to revive his failed dreams of music. He dyed his hair ink black, started wearing nail polish, and formed a rock star. He was spending thousands of dollars on high-end music videos where he played the brooding frontman. Psychologists often see this kind of behavior in high-control personalities when they lose their grip on a primary source of power, in this case, his wife. He was creating a new persona, one where he was the cool, untouchable star. But the house in Valencia was anything but cool. It had become a war zone. Dino moved into the guest house on the property, but he refused to leave. He began bringing other women over, openly flaunting his affairs in front of Monica and their daughters. He was trying to goad her into a reaction, waiting for a moment he could use against her. January 16th, 2012. The tension finally snapped. An argument broke out in the kitchen. Fearing for her safety, Monica took her daughters into a bedroom and locked the door, calling 911. But Dino was faster. He had already called the police, claiming he was the victim. When the officers arrived, Dino showed them marks on his neck, claiming Monica had attacked him. In a shocking turn of events, the police believed the millionaire. Monica, a mother who had never been in trouble with the law, was led out of her own home in handcuffs while her daughters watched, crying. She spent 24 hours in a cell with hardened criminals. Dino used this arrest to get an immediate restraining order. He kicked her out of the house and took sole custody of the girls. He had used the Leia playbook again. He thought he had won. Enter Richard Furman. Furman was Dino's right-hand man, a supposed former military hero who helped Dino secure government contracts. But Furman was a master of the long con. He was forging Dino's signature on fake military contracts to keep the investment money flowing. He was a fraudster working for a narcissist. However, when Dino started talking about eliminating Monica, Furman realized he was in over his head. He knew that if a murder happened, the investigation would lead straight to the business, and his own frauds would be exposed. To save his own skin, Furman went to the authorities. He told them, "My boss wants to kill his wife, and he wants me to find the guy to do it." Before the hitman idea, Dino and Furman tried something even more devious. Dino Dio gave Furman a set of keys to Monica's car and her daily schedule. The plan? Plant illegal drugs in her car and tip off the police. Dino's goal was to have Monica's visa revoked and have her deported back to Canada. He wanted her gone, but he wanted the system to do the dirty work. When that didn't happen fast enough, the conversation turned darker. Furman, trying to stall Dino, told him a lie. "Monica is terminally ill. I've seen to it. She won't last the year." Dino's reaction? He smiled. He was overjoyed at the idea of his wife dying a slow, painful death. But when Monica didn't die, because of course she wasn't actually sick, Dino became impatient. He wanted a guarantee. He wanted a hit. This brings us back to that cafe in October 2013, the 90-minute lunch. Dino was under pressure. The court had seen through his lies, and Monica had been cleared of the domestic violence charges. He was looking at paying her $25,000 a month in alimony. To a man like Dino, that money was his lifeblood. He would rather pay $80,000 once to a killer than $25,000 every month to the woman who defied him. On the tape, Dino is chillingly specific. He tells Furman that Monica is in Mexico. "Do it there," he suggests. He tells Furman he doesn't want to see photos. "I'll just read about it in the news," he says calmly, before finishing his meal and walking out. He walks straight into a trap. The next morning, the gates of the Valencia mansion didn't open for Dino's luxury cars.
They opened for a fleet of police cruisers. Dino was arrested in front of his daughters. His reaction wasn't one of remorse, but of immediate calculation. He tried to claim Furman had set him up to take over the company. He painted himself as the victim of a rogue employee. But you can't argue with a high-quality audio recording of yourself asking for someone's head to be cut off. The evidence was overwhelming. Dino Guglielmelli faced life in prison, but in a move that outraged Monica and her supporters, he was offered a plea deal. He pleaded guilty to attempted second-degree murder. His excuse in court? He said he was only taking the deal because his mother asked him to. Even at the end, he couldn't take responsibility. He was sentenced to 9 years. Monica's statement in court was haunting. She said, "A shot that misses the target is still a shot. He pulled the trigger. The gun just jammed." While Dino was behind bars, his empire evaporated. The legal fees, the scandal, and the lack of leadership led to the company being auctioned off. The $50 million dream was gone.